Will the clerk please call the roll?
Winters, Martin,
Here.
Eckhart, Sherman,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here.
Hannaford,
Here.
Stelling,
Here.
Wallace.
Here. Okay, and we have heard from Councilman Winters. He will be here, but he knew that he was going to be just a bit late, but he'll be here in a little bit. Item 4 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at City Council meetings will be approved by one vote of the Council. Any member of the Council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 17, 2018. And item B, approval of claims in the amount of $52,609.37 and payroll expenses of $251,455.57. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Stelling to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Item 6, reports. I'm going to ask Dr. Hannaford to first give the Finance Committee report and then the Hospital Authority meeting report.
Both are pretty short tonight. For finance, we reviewed and signed our claims. Some of the large claims, a lot was debt services. The general fund, we had debt services of a little over $6,000. AEDA, we had debt services of almost $15,000. AUA, debt services of a little over $34,000, and also the homestead pond repair was about $7,000. We did hear the financial report, which city manager will go over, but a couple highlights that was exciting. One was we did renew one of our CDs and actually got it over 3% on that renewal, which is good to see that increasing a little bit. We had a little discussion about some spikes in FY17 compared to this year in a couple of areas in wholesale trade and real estate, and just kind of talked about what maybe was causing that spike. And then we reviewed a couple projects. Our water tank project is really just about wrapping up right now. We'll have a change order tonight for some fencing, and also the HVAC project that is happening as we speak. And then a distribution line that will also be on the agenda tonight. And with that, I'll answer any questions if you have anybody.
Council have any questions regarding the Finance Committee report? All right. Hospital Authority.
Hospital Authority, heard the CEO's report, which one of the things, our swing bed numbers were up, which was a good thing for the hospital. We did some credentialing. We had reappointments to 2 of our doctors and an appointment to allied staff for advanced practice RN. Reviewed our QAPI procedures. We approved a credentialing policy and procedures and a health information policy and procedure manual. And then from the shared convalescent, we found out that we hired 4 new CNAs. And from the homestead, we are still at about 80% capacity, which is pretty consistent with what we've been. And with that, I'll answer any questions if you have any.
Does the council have any questions regarding the Hospital Authority meeting? All right, thank you, Dr. Hannaford. Next item is a Recreation Authority meeting on September 19th, 2018. Mr. Sherman?
I was unable to make that meeting.
It was a pretty routine meeting, basically just claims and finance reports and minutes. The director gave her report, soccer. There were about 159 children playing soccer this year. versus 198 last year. The director believes that decrease in players is due to 2 traveling teams in the area this season. She also reported on the co-ed softball was getting ready to start, and that we had hired Kyle Stubblefield at fill the property maintenance position. And that was pretty much the gist of the meeting.
Does the council have any questions regarding the Recreation Authority meeting? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Alva Municipal Cemetery report regarding the special meeting on September 25th and the regular meeting on October 12th, 2018.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Chafee.
Thank you. The first meeting on September 25th was to discuss and accept a proposal from Mock LLC for some easement, and we granted that so that they could hook up a salt water line to the existing line that is in the highway. And the second meeting on October 12th was to consider a proposal from SimGas for another easement to run a gas line along the edge of the property to hook up with the well site that is servicing the pad that we granted an easement for. And that was the gist of those 2 meetings.
I will add that thank you, Mayor Chafee. With the changes to the cemetery ordinances that we approved, I am presently still seeking members to fill the 2 new spots that we approved, and I fully anticipate those will be filled by the time you guys meet next. Does anybody have any questions regarding the cemetery? Thank you. Next item is the airport meeting on October 9th, 2018. There were no action items for the airport board at the last meeting. We did approve minutes. It was very uneventful. I'm happy to answer any questions about the airport, though, if you guys have any. All right. As far as the city mayor's report, I do want to touch base on one issue that's affecting our community, and it is that for the past several weeks, there's been a few leaders in the community that have been trying to get together to help find some solutions to some child care shortages in our community. I think most people, I think, are aware that the Lutheran daycare closed last Friday. And so while the majority of those children were able to, and parents were able to find places to go, we still have a pretty good shortage in our community for child care. There's an effort to try and encourage other people to open home daycares or consider opening a center themselves, but it's something that it doesn't seem that instant answers are going to be available to that child care shortage, and it's something that I hope we can at least encourage each other to consider how we take care of that in the future. I don't know that it's necessarily the city's obligation, but it is a concern for our community. It may be a concern as we look for people to fill positions in different as employees in different businesses in our community. If they have child care, they can take jobs. If they don't have child care, maybe they have to stay home and take care of their children. So just wanted to report that there is activity on that front, but there's going to have to be a lot more activity probably before we have a solution for our community. I really don't have anything business-wise to report on. I will say that we had a great break in the weather for homecoming last Saturday, or a week ago Saturday, and there's still quite a bit of activity in our community, and fall break's coming up this week, so I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have.
Can I just want to add, all the fall decorations around town are
They
really
look great.
great. They really
I
way outdid themselves this year.
really appreciate the pride that our business community takes in their properties, and it looks great. All right, the next item is the city business manager's report. Mr. Dunham.
Well, a few of the things I'd like to hit on are, one, as you know, I do serve on the Owen Mills Legislative Committee. Their October 3rd meeting was canceled. The next meeting is going to be Wednesday, November 7th, where we'll be discussing the outcomes of the general election, updates on interim studies, and legislative actions for the 2019 legislative session. I'll try to keep you abreast of all those as that comes available. One other thing that was of particular importance, I think to note, was on October 3rd, the Intercode server crashed. Repairs were made to that computer, but during this staff realized the last good backup we had to restore to is on September 19th. So I want to express my thanks and my gratitude to the staff members that stayed over the weekend and probably put in about 20 hours that weekend getting the Encode server back up to speed and where we could operate Monday morning. I believe it has all been restored at this time, and but we may have a couple of little things that we need that'll crop up, but most everything's been restored. Projects that we've got going on: the Young Street Water Tank project. That project is pretty well done. They do have some valves that need to be installed. They have some fencing that needs to be installed. But as of right now, the pump we are utilizing the tank. We are pumping out of it, and it is in service. We've got the East Alva sewer line that we're constructing. We will be asking for some additional time on that one. I was out there looking at that this weekend. They are pretty well done. They do expect to be done on October 25th. And based on where I saw that they were at, I do believe that they will make that timeline. City Hall HVAC system is undergoing. As you know, it did come in over budget. We're looking for ways to reduce that, or to cover that overage. Right now, there is, we are able to work in the police department and get some of that, get that installed and up and running. But for the admin office in that area of the building, the south area of the building, we are looking to have the asbestos that is on the pipes in the basement abated and taken out. We're getting quotes from companies that'll come in and do that. I've got one quote in so far to remove all that asbestos at $13,000. I've got another quote that I'm expecting in relatively shortly. And then we've also got at least maybe one other company that's going to give us a quote on it. Once we get that done, we'll get everything taken care of there. As a part of that project, City Hall will be closing early on Friday the 19th. I do not know exactly when that will be yet, what time we will close yet, but for electrical work to happen for this project, we'll have to kill the power to the entire building. We'll have what's operational with emergency backup generators running, but there's some switches that have to be installed to bring the building up to code. That'll take the weekend to get done, at least the weekend to get done. Right now, if things go well, they expect to have us back with power on Sunday. Could be Monday morning, but we don't know that for sure yet. Once I do have some more firm information on that, I'll be posting that I'll be sending it to council on emails, and I will be posting that on our Facebook page to let the public know. Some of the community development things that have been going on. We're right now trying to develop a strategic comprehensive plan. Staff is researching companies who provide the planning services and trying to develop an RFQ for that, to get that, to have that service performed for the city of Alva. There have been some planning commissions meetings had on September 24th. There was one plan, there was not a quorum, but there was some discussion with the board members about the strategic land use plan and the importance of that being developed at this time. As far as a nuisance report, the city staff has currently sent letters out on 34 nuisance cases and 3 dilapidated buildings. One of the dilapidated buildings I found out today, we'll remove it off of our list. It's currently in probate, and we won't be able to take any kind of action against that property. We do have the ones that have already been addressed, which we'll be looking at demolishing at 722 Choctaw and 928 Barnes. Meetings were held with 414 Sealing and 1437 Young, which will have, I believe we've got representatives from both those addresses here tonight. And during the public hearing, they'll be able to discuss what their plans are. 724, of course, will not be able to do anything on. And then you'll see the addresses there where we sent letters out on tall weeds and grass complaints. Most of these have been taken care of. There were a few that letters were not delivered on, and we got those letters back. On those, we have posted the houses and ran an advertisement in Sunday's paper, notifying those those housing owners that they needed to get their yards cleaned up. And then I believe Derek Corson went out either today or is going out tomorrow with police officers to write a ticket on about 4 or 5 of them.
I'll just add in there for the paper that there are 34 properties that the letters have been sent to for the tall weeds and grass.
Kind of some human resource issues that have been taken care of over the past month. One, I'd like to introduce Derek Corson. He is the new building code inspector for the city of Alva. He was previously employed in our parks department, and this is a promotion for him. Over the next year, he'll be completing his training for this position and to get his licensure up to speed. And during that time, we'll be using a combination to help get our inspections done with Derek. We'll be using outside inspectors and include some of our the Construction Industry Board inspections. Right now we're shorthanded in the 2 departments, both sanitation and EMS. We'll be looking at probably bringing on some of the labor positions for those sanitation positions that are open. And I noticed that I did have at least 1 new EMS application in my box today that we'll be reviewing. As a special note, Assistant Chief Fire Marshal Brian Miller successfully completed his NFA Fire Investigation Interview and Testimony class. This was a 10-day course, provided him with the tools necessary for fire and arson investigators to conduct legally supported interviews and interrogations with witnesses. Miller went through some mock trial exercises, and he is now able to give expert testimony should a case ever come to court. This just goes to enhance the city's ability to do investigations on fire and fire-related accidents. We did have one employee who was recognized in September for going above and beyond the call of duty. During the month of August, Julie Dennis, EMS Director, became aware of an elderly gentleman that had needed to be picked up in Enid at the hospital and brought back to Alva because he didn't have a ride. Upon his release, he didn't have a ride. Ms. Dennis became aware of that. On her own personal time, took her vehicle, drove to Enid, picked this gentleman up, brought him back home to Alva. And this is the type of service which we feel like we ought to be recognizing and rewarding. Ms. Dennis has been awarded a dinner for two, movie passes, an extra day off with pay. Kind of dinner and a movie out with her significant other on us. Some of the financial projects we've got going on. We are applying for a grant to purchase an ODOT chipper. To purchase a chipper, it's an ODOT grant. We're looking at a machine that's going to cost about $62,000. This will help us if we receive this grant and able to purchase this machine. This will allow us to eliminate a lot of the tree and limb debris that we're receiving out in our chip pile and our limb pile, and maybe even try to start a mulch/chip recycle program. This machine ought to be able to, we feel will be able to chip those limbs down to such a manner they could be used as mulch throughout town for the citizens. We're looking at a sanitary sewer camera grant. OMAG encourages as best practices for sanitary systems to have a camera to examine the pipes. They will match up to $5,000 on the purchase of a camera. We're looking into that. Tonight we're going to ask you to approve a resolution to apply for the MAP 21 grant, which is a Department of Transportation grant, which replaced the Safe Routes to Schools. This grant will allow us to build sidewalks on the south side of town, going from basically the Fairgrounds Road, I think that is Harper Road, down behind the apartments there, tie up with Murray Street, down to Young, over to the school, back down to Monroe, to the college, and then over to 9th where our POW trail links in to make a full loop. We'll be asking you to approve a REAP grant, a resolution for a REAP grant. This will allow for us to pay, the REAP grant is going to be a $40,000 matched grant to install about 1,500 feet of water line between Maple and Barnes along Highway 21 to help service a new retail development area. The police department has been awarded a highway safety grant. This grant pays overtime salaries for specific purposes. Over the past 12 months, the grant paid up to $18,000 in overtime for occupant protection, DUI enforcement and prevention, and $2,000 in training. The next grant cycle will pay overtime for general traffic and enforcement. The dollar value of that has not been announced yet. I'll have to get with our police chief. He went to the Lifesavers Conference where that was supposed to be announced, and I do not have that information, but it should be in the $18,000 to $20,000 range.
I think it was less. I talked to the chief over the weekend, and he was a little disappointed. I think it came in at 10.
Okay, but he's not shared that with me yet.
Yep.
would like to say that, would like to remind council members that we need to, if you weren't able to go to the OML conference, I need you to get onto the OMAG website and go through some of their online training. And if you'll go to the omag.org, there's a drop-down menu that says I want to. First line is train online. Click there. Go to the local GovU section, and it brings up training. You can click there, log in, get trainings for council members. This is important for the to receive some of the funds that OMAG has available for us through the recognition grant. We will be having through the recognition program, and we will be having our annual review of our handbook probably at the next council meeting. There are a couple of additional reports available in your website from the fire department and the police department. From OML and OMAG is their year-end reviews. And with that, I would open and try to answer any questions.
Does the council have any questions for Joe Don? Thank you, Joe Don. Item 7 on the agenda is public hearing to determine whether the following addresses should be declared dilapidated and constituting a detriment or hazard and therefore a nuisance as defined by city ordinance and abated. We'll go in order with these. The first item is 414 Sealing Street. We'll take any comments regarding that property.
Okay. This is my mom's property, and we had to get an executor of the estate in that. And we've been calling and getting estimates and that. We are going to see about tearing down the house. We have been in there cleaning it out, and they said if we could get the inside done, then they could just tear down the outside. So that's what we're working on. But we'd like to have 60 days to finish this up, and I'll keep Mr. Joe Don, excuse me, informed on where we're at and what we're doing, but that's what we would like to do. And this is, the executor of the state will be Michelle Sheelite, and me and Roger's here, so we're going to do the work. This is her name and number, and so we're going to try to get that straightened out, and then they're going to try to get a fair value through DHS and that, because she is in the nursing home, and then sell the property.
Okay.
So that's what we're planning on doing, if we can get the 60 days.
What we have typically done is that we want for the property owner to be able to handle the situation.
Right.
But we'll probably go ahead and declare it dilapidated. We still want you to fulfill
Okay.
Whatever your plans are and go that way and continue to work with Mr. Dunham.
Okay.
But we probably, since
Yeah,
your
there was-
intentions are to tear it down anyway, I don't think.
Well, we had a tree go through it about 3 months ago. We boarded it up, and then we hadn't been in it in quite a while because nobody's lived there. And so we went in the other day after I talked to him, and there was some holes in the roof and that, so it definitely needs torn down. That'd just be the better way to go, I think.
And I have been visiting with them, and they are working on a plan, and they are keeping me abreast. And but we still do. I did tell them I would recommend that
Yes.
it be declared a nuisance at this time, but we would work with them on the time that they needed to get it taken care of.
And we appreciate that. And your time.
Thank you. Does council have any questions?
Thank you for taking care of it.
Thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
it should have been taken care of a while back, but you know how those things go. Thank you, guys.
It's not that you're busy or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay, the next property is 1437 Young Street. Hear any public comment there is on that?
I've decided that I'd go ahead and let the city tear it down. I was asking for a reasonable time to go ahead and get the stuff out of the house.
Okay. How much time do you think you need?
at least 6 months if we could get it.
6 months?
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not able to do anything right now. I just had knee surgery and I can't do anything right now.
That's quite a while. I continue to work with, stay in close contact with Joe Don. And I don't know that there'd be a commitment to 6 months, but we certainly want you to have time to get your valuables out, if there, whatever that may be, and we'll go from there. But stay in communication with Joe Don.
And I did meet with them, and we did discuss the needs of it, and we will be working with them also about how we can hopefully get that property taken care of.
And item C is 724 Choctaw. Are there any questions on Young Street? Any other comment on Young Street? Okay, and as Joe Don mentioned in his report, 724 Choctaw, that property is in probate right now. There's no action that we can be taking on this, so if there's anything for public hearing, we'll gladly listen, but we will not be able to take action on the next item in the agenda. All right. We'll move on to item 8, discussion and action on declaration of dilapidation for the following addresses and authorize staff to take appropriate action to abate the nuisance. Item A, 414 Ceiling. Item B, 1437 Young Street. And we'll strike item C, 724 Choctaw. Is there a motion?
Motion to declare dilapidation for the following addresses: 414 Ceiling.
Can we do this individually?
Oh, each one?
Yep.
Okay. Motion to approve declaration of dilapidation for 414 Ceiling and authorize staff to take appropriate action to abate the nuisance.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Dr. Hannaford to declare dilapidation for 414 Ceiling and authorize staff to take appropriate action to abate the nuisance. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Winters,
Since I was not here for discussion, I'd like to abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wallace,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Okay. Now I would entertain a motion for 1437 Young Street.
Motion to declare dilapidation for 1437 Young Street and authorize staff to take appropriate action to abate the nuisance.
I second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mrs. Hamilton to declare 1437 Young Street dilapidated and authorize staff to take appropriate action to abate the nuisance. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Okay. I do appreciate y'all coming down and being part of the public hearing and being part of the process with the City Hall up to this point. And like I said, please, continue your communication with Joe Don as we, work to abate these nuisances. Item 9 is discussion and action to approve Resolution 2018-012, authorizing application for a Transportation Alternative Program grant and maintenance commitment. Joe Don mentioned this. I think this is the one.
Yeah, this is one of the MAP 21 grant.
Yeah, and this is for the sidewalk that'll complete the walking trail that was, built with grant funds several years ago now.
Yeah.
And what discussion do we need to have?
Well, this won't complete the whole walking trail. It will just complete one loop of it. It'll provide a loop on the north side of town. There is some work that we'll have to do in future years. We've got a whole sidewalk project plan that will provide sidewalk walking, a loop that's east and west, bringing all of our parks, sidewalks to all of our parks where somebody could walk to every one of them. But this is the one that is available now. The anticipated cost for this project, construction cost for this project is going to be $481,902. We'll have some engineering and some oversight that we'll have to do. But if you'll look down there on page 55 of your council packet, it'll show the area that we are looking to connect with right now. It's in red. And that'll provide a complete loop around from the college through the football field, baseball complex, over to behind the sidewalk behind the rec center, over toward over toward College Boulevard or 281, down to Murray, Sunset, Young, Davis, and then back to Monroe to close that loop. That'll give joggers a place to run, a place to exercise. Most joggers like a full loop. Instead of the way it is now, you can jog out to basically the highway, then turn around and jog back. This provides a complete loop for that area of town, and it is part of the full plan that was developed numerous years ago, and that full plan has been primarily funded with this type of grant funds.
Council members will, I think most of you, I don't know when Connor, I can't remember, but we had had been part of previous reports to council that this was in the works, and so at that time we were waiting on the grant to be released. It's been released, and so
and on page 59, you'll see that map is the rendering of green is what has already been done. Red is what is proposed at this time. The pink, there's a pink color that's already been done. Anything in blue is proposed at this time to be done at a future date.
Does the council have any questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2018-012, authorizing application for the Transportation Alternatives Program Grant and Maintenance Commitment.
Second.
Either, just go right ahead.
I have a motion by Dr. Hannaford, second by Mrs. Hamilton, to approve resolution 2018-012, authorizing application for a Transportation Alternative Program Grant and Maintenance Commitment. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Sherman.
Yes.
Now, if we can get the grant, that'd be great.
Well, we've done a lot of work on this, and this project is exactly what this grant's for. We ought to have a pretty good chance.
That's, everything I'm hearing is the same thing. Okay, yeah, and I know the staff have put a lot of work into getting this prepared, so thank you. Pass that along, please. Item 10 is discussion and action to approve resolution 2018-013, authorizing application for an Oklahoma Department of Commerce REAP grant. As Jodan discussed, that it is a project that's been kind of pending with us as a water line running from Maple to Barnes on the east side of 281 North, Lane Street, if you will. He has in the packet here that, it's if we were to bid this out, looking at probably $120,000 job, but to self-perform, looks like we could do it for in a $50,000 ballpark with our staff and us buying the materials and supplies. The grant amount is $40,000. We have, in the last couple of years, been using the REAP grant for sanitation programs, and they have not been awarding us a full amount. And so it seems that Waterline project may be more up their alley for awarding the grant. If they award the maximum of $40,000, our commitment would be, $10,000. We'll already be having our labor expenses figured in and that kind of thing. So it makes sense if we can get this done in an area where development is happening that we go ahead and try to get this grant to do so. This would authorize our application. So, that about cover it, Joe?
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing I'd add, like I said, the grant can be used for numerous things: water, wastewater, sanitation, fire, and streets. Since I've been here, we've used it on streets. We've used it on purchase of sanitation equipment. We've used it for purchasing poly carts. At the meeting, it appeared from the discussion at the meeting the highest probability of funding was going to be for water projects. So that's the reason this one was chosen, leveraging all of our projects against what we thought would be the best.
Council have any questions or comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2018-013, authorizing application for an Oklahoma Department of Commerce REAP grant.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Winters, a second by Mr. Sherman to approve resolution 2018-013, authorizing application for Oklahoma Department of Commerce REAP grant. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Item 11 is remarks and inquiries by citizens. If there's any citizens that would like to make a remark or have questions, we'll ask you to please approach the podium, introduce yourself, and we'll give you some time.
I didn't come with a question, but I did have a question on your trail. Is that going to go through people's yards?
It may go through some people's yards.
Yeah, the sidewalk will be within our with the city street easement.
So it's going to be a brand new sidewalk.
Yes.
It's going to be in areas that's never been to have a sidewalk in them.
Yes. We will be noted if we are awarded the grant. We will be notifying the property owners. But this has been the plan for quite some time.
And it's going to go right by Lincoln School,
Yes.
Down Davis.
It started out as the name of the grant
right through
program.
your yard.
The name of the grant started out as a Safe Routes to School grant. And so it was it's intended to connect neighborhoods back to schools. So the kids that are out at Buena Vista, any of them that are in the Sunset Circle, that area would be able to get safely to Lincoln School on a sidewalk without having to walk in the street.
Where I'm worried about is up there on Sunset, Murray. Right now, some days you cannot even get down that street. On the north Sunset, they're parked on both sides of the street. And you can barely get down there myself to get out to the hospital. And if you put a sidewalk on one of those sides, we're going to have them out in the street more. We're going to have to figure out something.
It's not going to take any space.
Yes.
But they're right now parking in that grass right there. Now they won't be parking on that sidewalk. They won't be parking on the sidewalk, they'll have to park out on the street more. Because some days, you guys, you cannot get through there. And if a trash truck tries to go through there,
It's tight.
It's next to impossible sometimes.
You know, it's another discussion, but and it's been talked about at the public safety meetings. But, you know, we have some narrow streets that probably would benefit to have some traffic changes, traffic law changes.
And there's a big trailer that sits out in the street, and it's been sitting there for 6-7 months now. And it's never been moved.
Well, I'll send the PD.
I don't know whose it is or anything, I don't have any idea.
That shouldn't happen, that's against our order, I can send, both send, somebody have to look at that.
But I mean, it's tight up there.
Yes, it is.
That, we kind of went off, but
But
you
that's,
have anything
yeah,
else?
we'll be in front of
Mr.
your.
Crenshaw?
Well, I was just talking about that because I thought that's gonna be hard to go down Davis in there. Another thing, I've kind of been told that I don't have any ordinances on this, but I think you need to consider some types of ordinances on some of this demolition where people are tearing things down, and how much influence that they are giving to neighbors' properties, or how much damage they can do to neighbors' properties or affect neighbors' properties as far as water flow and everything else.
We're, with the planning commission not having a quorum, we didn't have any action, but we are looking at bringing some previous, a long time ago, recommendations that never were enacted that would require other steps of authorization prior to what has happened next door to you, for instance.
That's what I'm basically referring to.
Yeah. And so, for whatever reason, prior councils didn't take action to require those authorizations. But I think given some of the variance requests and other building or development activities that have happened lately, I think it's something that the Planning Commission will give high consideration, and we'll probably see that before the City Council before long.
Okay.
I think that's what you want to hear without me committing anything.
Well, I
can't speak for everybody.
It's hard for me to cope with the idea of what they have done in changing the whole land structure and everything else up there, that they could do that and not even have presented a building proposal or what they wanted to do.
I've not been out, but to be around there for a couple of weeks. Are they still working over there? Have they been working?
Not really, but with the rain, I'm starting to get a lot of erosion, and where they went in and cut out, I got a tree right in the middle of my driveway now that blew over. And basically it's because of what they had done. So, you know, they've lowered probably 5 or 6 feet the ground between properties there, so. I just, there needs to be some kind of ordinance or something as to how far they can proceed and then just let it sit. Because there could be a good possibility that may sit for quite a while.
Some of that's probably being building permits if they're just an ongoing new project, but I do believe we have a permit for demolition.
Actually, we tried to have a permit for demolition and we didn't approve that as council.
No, like it was new language, but I think there is a permit, I think
They
now.
come and get a permit for demolition, there's not any requirements on what they have to do to tear it down.
It didn't have as much teeth in it, but there is a permit.
And there's not a permit for excavation, which really, if they'd have just torn down, that wouldn't be the issue. But the amount of dirt they moved is the issue.
That's really the issue, is what they did with the property. I mean, afterwards, the tearing down the house wasn't the issue, but they've just changed the whole property, the whole, like I say, the water flow and everything else up there. So that's the issue, basically. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Crenshaw. Are there any other remarks from the public?
Well, I appreciate what the city council is doing. I sure do. I want you to know that. Looks like you're making progress and doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's, Marion, you're the only one left. All right. Derek, your staff, so. Are there any other remarks or inquiries by council members?
Well, I think we ought to welcome Derek to the wonderful new job he took.
Well, it's go, you know,
Did
to
you
be
get your
perfect,
kit
how
up?
wonderful it is. I've been grabbing that by a few.
No, it'll be no stress deal.
Yeah.
That's what we told him when he interviewed, that it was a low stress position.
Yeah.
All these ordinances and all these things, you better know them.
Yeah, a lot of reading.
I just wanted to apologize for being late today, and I had prior obligations that made me late, but just apologize publicly for that.
Thank you. Anything else?
I'd like to say homecoming was honestly really good considering the weather. I mean, it was a good turnout. Great bands again this year. Northwestern and everybody that puts that together just really does a great job pulling all those bands from everywhere. I mean, there was pretty far away and far and wide, and
Probably just showed up with a forecast, you know.
yeah,
Drove
yeah.
here, sat in the bus, and watched it rain.
So, I mean, and, you know, God blessed us with a little break right there in the middle of, right as it started, it was sprinkling as I ride on the Alumni Foundation float, and it was sprinkling on us as we hopped in there and just quit for the rest of the, so, but I just wanted to, you know, give a shout out to them, because homecoming was, even though the weather was forecast, looked bad, it turned out really, really good. And
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday made up for it.
Yeah.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
What was that, twice the amount as projected almost, is
Yeah.
what I was hearing?
And then I think it's already been mentioned, but the stuff around the square looks great this year. And really glad our businesses take pride in doing all that. So.
Anything else? All right, we're adjourned for the city council, and we will open the Alva Utility Authority meeting. We're going to skip item 2. We did that in the city council meeting. For a flag salute and invocation. But we do need a roll call.
Winters,
Here.
Martin,
Here.
Eckhart, Sherman,
Here?
Hamilton,
Here.
Hannaford,
Here.
Stelling,
Here.
Wallace.
Here. All right, item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AUA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 17, 2018. Item B, approval of claims in the amount of $68,550.14 and payroll expenses of $64,167.93. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Wallace to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Item 5 is discussion and action on change order number 5 in the amount of $5,800 and add 17 days to the Young Street Tank Farm construction project. As Joe Don talked about in his report, and I think Bo mentioned it as well, but this change order is for fencing to go around the entire property. Seems as if, after talking, the staff have talked about this, that a perimeter fence for the property, be easier to maintain the lawn and everything around. And it would add an additional 140 feet along the perimeter of the property, or for the fence. The fence is going to be chain link with a security top on it, per DEQ requirements to go around a public water source. 17 days is going to be due to a little bit of rain. Is anything to add, Joe Don?
No, we were looking at the $5,000 in some contingency money that would be part of the loan. So at this time, there's not anything expected to come out of the project other than just loan funds.
Any questions from the council? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve change order number 5 in the amount of $5,800 and add 17 days to the Young Street tank farm project.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mr. Winters to approve change order number 5 in the amount of $5,800 and add 17 days to the Young Street Tank Farm construction project. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Winters,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Okay. Item 6 is discussion and action on change order number 1, adding 31 days to the East Alva sewer line construction project. This is not going to involve any additional costs. This is completely due to unanticipated weather conditions that we've had over the last few weeks, and this project, as you remember, it's through our bond revenue, providing sewer service to the El Maya area over there on east of 281 North. Anything else?
Nope.
Are there any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
A motion to approve change order number 1, adding 31 days to the East Alva sewer line construction project.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Winters, second by Dr. Hannaford to approve change order number 1, adding 31 days to the East Alva sewer line construction project. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Item 7, a discussion and action to authorize the bidding replacement of 6,500 linear feet of 16-inch transmission line for the City of Alva's water system. This is also part of the revenue bond that we went out for. This is a project that we budgeted within that. It is about half of the service line coming into town from the south of the project that we identified in our budget. So projected to be, when we budgeted, we projected it around $500,000. Anticipated cost of this is going to be $412,000-ish, $412,450, and it will be converting the 12-inch transmission line to 16-inch. Joe Don was telling us in Finance Committee meeting that it's anticipated that we will be able to self-perform this project and maybe have to rent some equipment in order to do so, but our staff will be able to self-perform the replacement of this line for, I don't see it here, less money.
Yeah, it's about two, if you look down,
Almost half.
yeah, if you look down on page 20 of that document, material cost is about $222,000. We would anticipate that that's what it cost us to self-perform this project.
And so this would be authorizing the bid to be released, or the request for bids to be released. Or action otherwise. Explain that to me. What are we approving here?
Well, we're approving for me to either go out and bid the replacement, either through the bidding of materials or for a turnkey project.
Do we
So
need
approving
to,
this,
Had it already not been.
it's budgeted, but it's not,
Because
it
of the
exceeds his
cost.
spending limit,
Right.
so,
And we're changing it from 16 inch, from 12 inch to 16
Yes,
inch.
the plan is to go, right now it's kind of been pieced together, in that area is a 12-inch line, and we are going to be moving it back to a 16-inch, and that would be more in line with the rest of the pipeline.
Okay.
so by approving this, we're approving Jodan to A and B, bid it out for outside turnkey and to bid for us to buy the equipment, or the stuff to do it.
We will be bidding out for the material costs. I do not anticipate going out to bid for the entire project.
Okay, we're approving you to go out and bid for the material costs.
Yes.
Motion to approve bidding replacement of 6,500 linear feet of 16-inch transmission line for the city of Alva water system.
Second.
have a motion by Mr. Sherman, a second by Mrs. Hamilton, to authorize authorize the bidding to replace 6,500 linear feet of 16-inch transmission line for the city of Alva's water system. Is that good? All right. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes?
Stelling,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Winters.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We will adjourn the Utility Authority meeting and open the Economic Development Authority meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Winters,
Here.
Martin,
Here.
Eckhart, Sherman,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here?
Hannaford,
Here.
Stelling,
Here.
Wallace.
Here.
Item 3 is discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings will be approved by one vote of the board. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. Item A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 17, 2018. Item B, approval of claims in the amount of $20,404.37 and payroll expenses of $14,932.49. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Winters, a second by Mr. Stelling to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Winters,
Yes.
Stelling,
Yes.
Hannaford,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
And we are adjourned.
Okay, I have one little